machines mean keyloggers, and keyloggers mean opponents can get you to help them in the pump phase of a pump and dump stock fraud, whether you like to or not. If and when you ever bother to call your discount broker to complain that this or that purchase was not the one you did, the broker has two choices. They can tell you you're an idiot, or they can tell you we'll make it up to you. Such a situation is untenable. The most likely option, and it is under discussion in several places today, is for some kinds of transactions to be based on the merchant side owning the customer side for the duration of the transaction. Whether this comes as an ActiveX control, some sort of use once browser, or what else remains to be seen. In clinical trials, pharmaceutical companies have long ago found it was safer and easier to manage if they just shipped a laptop to the particular doctor. Brokerages probably won't do that, and random e-commerce merchants absolutely will not. So we are back to whether it is a good idea for the merchant side of the transaction to assume that the client side is already compromised and to compromise it further for a moment on its own account. This is not an easy decision to make for either side, but if the average customer's choice is a no-loss guarantee in exchange for a moment of remote control, then it's my bet that they will take the offer. Whether this is how it goes or not is, however, irrelevant. I'm just using this as an example of an adaptive reaction to your opponents becoming good enough that the original "I'm okay, you're okay" starting point for network security no longer applies, and something will have to replace it. By the way, if you think the professionals aren't winning, just consider that they now value stealth over persistence, i.e. they find it so easy to own machines that they make no effort to survive reboot, preferring instead to hide in core only. Consider this the equivalent of gene therapy as prescribed by Dr. Faustus. At the end of the day, however, we are facing a much bigger, more metaphysical question than the ones I have so far posed. That I can pose others is of no consequence. Either you're sick of them by now or you're scribbling down your own as I speak. The bigger question is this: how much security do we want? How much security do we want is the real question. And while nature can give us more clues than we can ever use in improving what we puny humans can do, we are fast closing on a point where the question we must ask is whether we wish to turn over the security, our security, to sentient machines. Kurzweil, in The Singularity is Near, is beyond all doubt correct. Within the career lifetime of nearly everyone in this room, computers will be smarter than we are. Once people in this room, only you, will understand that what I'm now going to say is this: security is perhaps the most difficult intellectual profession on the planet. The core knowledge base has reached the point where new recruits can no longer hope to be competent generalists. Serial specialization is the only broad option available to them. Computers will soon be called upon to do what we cannot, and that is to protect us from other computers, and to ask no permission in so doing. Every practitioner in this room can tell some story where an insane affection for convenience caused people for whom you were nominally responsible to create or at least tolerate insecurity, and to be offended if you endeavored to make them see that light. That they outnumber us, and they will demand protection with convenience. They see no problem in surveillance if it keeps them safe. They, and especially the younger of them, have never considered whether they had or did not have privacy, and thus do not and will not miss what they never had. Being eternally online and available has reached the point where one is thought exceeding odd to be otherwise, when, in point of fact, the most heated debate at the first workshop on mobile computing, held a mile from here just 15 years ago, was on precisely the offense that an expectation of being always online represented. The percentage of corporate assets that are digital rather than physical is growing, and deploying protection against threats to those assets will make the Sony rootkit or DRM seem quaintly innocent by comparison. The next punctuation of the equilibrium, in my prediction, will be the effective end of the general-purpose computer as a consumer durable, as presaged already by Apple dropping the word computer from its name, or leading Wall Street trading firms already going back to displays only on the desktop with no PCs at all. If you do not have a general-purpose computer, which, to paraphrase Ed Felton, you have the freedom to tinker, I ask you, what kind of security will that be? I will tell you what kind it is, but first I will say that what brought us all here to this field of endeavor is a love of knowing how things work, and by satisfying that love by knowing how they fail. We, all of us here, hunt the unknown unknowns. The smartest thing a U.S. Cabinet Secretary has said in my lifetime was Rumsfeld's remarks on how it was the unknown unknowns that interest him. Every person who made fun of that remark, if nothing else, proved that they were innumerate. The unknown unknowns are why we are here. The unknown unknowns are a predictor of various kinds of failure. The urge to stamp them out is understandable, but God help us if we take the bargain that promises no more unknown unknowns. Kurzweil's singularity includes the idea that all knowledge will be available to everyone at all times. And because this is one hell of a lot of knowledge, you will be only too grateful to have your memory uploaded from your brain to your real, personal digital assistant. A world without failure is a world without freedom. A world without the possibility of sin is a world without the possibility of righteousness. A world without the possibility of crime is a world where you cannot prove you're not a criminal. A technology that can give you everything you want is a technology that can take away everything you have. At some point, and real soon now, some of us security geeks will have to say that safety is not safe. I know full well that my views on this are neither pleasant nor fashionable, but I'm staring into the fog of the future as hard as I can. There's never enough time. Thank you for yours.
Thank you, Dan. It's been an honor to have you, and thank you just so much for your support. Do you want to do a question, or do you want to?
What do you want? What's your time? Do you want?
How are we doing for time? Time? 48 minutes past.
And you wanted 50. So there you are.
50.
I
So
think it's
there
time
we
for a break. We can talk at the break without our friend the microphone.
Yes. Thanks.